If you're over 60 and you eat oatmeal thinking you're doing something healthy, this video could quietly change your life because oatmeal can be one of the best foods for aging muscles, the heart, digestion, blood sugar, and even the brain, or it can slowly work against you if you're combining it the wrong way. Most people don't realize this, but after 60, your body processes carbohydrates, protein, minerals, and insulin very differently than it did at 30 or 40. So the way you pair oatmeal matters more now than ever. Most people over 60 wake up believing that a bowl of oatmeal is the safest, smartest choice they can make for their health. And on the surface, that belief makes sense because oatmeal has been praised for decades as a heart-healthy, cholesterol-lowering superfood. But what almost no one tells you is that after 60, oatmeal stops being neutral food and starts becoming a metabolic message. And depending on what you pair it with, that message can either protect your heart and brain or quietly push your body toward inflammation, fatigue, and insulin resistance. Here's the uncomfortable truth backed by modern research. Aging changes how your body handles carbohydrates, and the same oatmeal that once fueled your morning can now overwhelm your system if it's combined incorrectly, because after 60, muscle cells become less responsive to insulin, the pancreas works harder to manage blood sugar, and the brain becomes more vulnerable to glucose spikes, which studies have linked to cognitive decline and increased dementia risk. Oatmeal itself contains beta-glucan fiber, a powerful compound shown in clinical trials to reduce LDL cholesterol and slow glucose absorption. But this benefit is fragile, and it can be completely canceled out by one common mistake millions of seniors make every morning without realizing it: pairing oatmeal with fast-acting sugars. Fruit juice is one of the biggest offenders. A single glass of orange juice can contain as much sugar as a soda, but without the fiber that slows absorption. And when that sugar hits the bloodstream alongside oatmeal, it creates a glucose surge that even healthy seniors struggle to control. Research shows repeated blood sugar spikes accelerate arterial damage, increase belly fat storage, and raise inflammation markers, even in people who don't have diabetes. Dried fruits tell a similar story. Raisins, sweetened cranberries, dates, and packaged healthy toppings are often marketed as natural, but drying fruit concentrates sugar while removing water volume, meaning your body absorbs it rapidly. Studies have shown that combining slow carbohydrates with concentrated sugars leads to a sharper insulin response than eating either alone, and over time, this pattern trains the body to expect constant glucose highs and lows, which explains why so many older adults feel tired, shaky, or hungry just a few hours after breakfast. Low-fat and flavored dairy is another pairing mistake that looks harmless but carries long-term consequences. When fat is removed from milk or yogurt, manufacturers often replace it with sugar to maintain taste, and sugar combined with oats drives inflammation while offering no satiety. Research in older adults has shown that low-fat, high-sugar breakfasts are linked to higher triglycerides, poorer blood sugar control, and increased joint pain, yet these products are still recommended to seniors who are trying to eat light. The real danger here isn't just weight gain or fatigue, it's what happens silently inside the body. Elevated glucose repeatedly damages the lining of blood vessels, increases oxidative stress in the brain, and accelerates something called glycation, a process where sugar binds to proteins and stiffens tissues. Glycation has been directly linked to wrinkles, joint stiffness, cataracts, and vascular aging, meaning the way you pair oatmeal today affects how your body moves and thinks years from now. What makes this especially concerning after 60 is that many seniors eat oatmeal daily, believing consistency equals safety, when in reality, consistency with the wrong pairing compounds damage. One study found that people who consumed high glycemic breakfasts regularly had significantly higher markers of systemic inflammation compared to those who balanced carbohydrates with protein and fat, even when total calories were the same. Were This is why oatmeal is not inherently good or bad after 60. It is conditional, and the condition is pairing. When oatmeal is eaten with sugar-heavy foods, it behaves like a refined carbohydrate. When it's paired correctly, it becomes a slow-release fuel that supports heart health and gut bacteria. Whole berries, for example, tell a completely different story. Blueberries and strawberries contain polyphenols that improve insulin sensitivity and reduce oxidative stress in the brain. Studies in older adults show that regular berry consumption is associated with slower cognitive decline and improved vascular function. And when eaten in small amounts with oatmeal, they enhance the benefits instead of sabotaging them. Protein is another critical protector. Without protein, oatmeal becomes a one-dimensional carbohydrate load. With protein, it becomes a balanced metabolic signal. Research on aging muscles shows that protein at breakfast reduces muscle loss, stabilizes blood sugar, and improves satiety throughout the day. This matters because muscle is not just for movement. It is one of the body's primary glucose regulators, and losing it makes every carbohydrate harder to manage. Healthy fats complete the equation. Fat slows digestion, reduces glucose spikes, and supports hormone and brain function. Studies comparing low-fat versus full-fat breakfasts in older adults consistently show better blood sugar stability and longer-lasting energy when healthy fats are included, even when calorie intake is higher. What's shocking is that many of the symptoms seniors accept as normal aging are actually signs of repeated metabolic stress from poorly paired meals. Morning fatigue, afternoon crashes, brain fog, increased cravings, stubborn belly fat, and worsening joint pain are not inevitable. They are signals, and oatmeal paired incorrectly is often part of the pattern. This is why education matters more than restriction. You don't need to eliminate oatmeal. You need to respect it. Food after 60 is no longer just fuel, it is instruction. Every pairing tells your body how to behave, how much inflammation to produce, how stable your energy will be, and how fast your tissues will age. When oatmeal is paired with fast sugars and low-fat processed foods, it sends a message of stress. When it's paired with protein, healthy fats, and low glycemic fruits, it sends a message of stability and repair. That difference may not show up in a week, but over months and years, it determines whether your mornings support longevity or quietly work against it. The most powerful realization is this: many people over 60 are doing the right thing in the wrong way. And once that changes, the body responds faster than expected. Blood sugar improves, energy stabilizes, inflammation markers drop, and food stops feeling like a gamble and starts becoming a tool again. Because at this stage of life, health isn't about eating less or eating perfectly. It's about sending the right signals consistently, starting with something as simple and as misunderstood as a bowl of oatmeal. After 60, the most dangerous nutritional mistake isn't what you eat, it's what you leave out. And for millions of older adults, that mistake shows up quietly every morning in the form of a bowl of oatmeal eaten without protein and healthy fat, a combination that looks harmless but slowly accelerates muscle loss, blood sugar instability, and physical decline in ways most people never connect back to breakfast. Here's the hard truth supported by decades of aging research. Once you cross 60, your body becomes resistant to building and maintaining muscle, a condition known as anabolic resistance. And studies show that without sufficient protein at meals, especially in the morning, the body begins breaking down muscle tissue faster than it can rebuild it, even if total calories are adequate. Muscle loss after 60 isn't just about weakness, it's about survival. Muscle is one of the body's largest glucose regulators, and when muscle mass declines, blood sugar rises more easily, insulin sensitivity drops, and the risk of type 2 diabetes increases dramatically. Research from the Journal of Gerontology shows that older adults with low muscle mass are significantly more likely to experience falls, fractures, loss of independence, and early mortality. When oatmeal is eaten alone, it delivers carbohydrates without the amino acids needed to protect muscle tissue. That carbohydrate load enters the bloodstream, raises glucose levels, and forces the pancreas to release insulin, but without enough muscle to absorb that glucose efficiently, much of it is redirected toward fat storage and inflammation. This is why so many seniors gain fat while losing strength, even when they believe they are eating clean. Protein changes everything. Studies consistently show that adding protein to breakfast improves muscle protein synthesis, stabilizes blood sugar, reduces cravings, and improves energy throughout the day. In one controlled trial, older adults who consumed at least 25 to 30 grams of protein in the morning preserved significantly more muscle mass over time than those who delayed protein intake until later meals. But protein alone isn't enough. Healthy fats are the missing signal most people ignore. Fat slows digestion, reduces glucose spikes, and supports the absorption of fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K, nutrients essential for bone density, immune function, and brain health. Without fat, carbohydrates digest too quickly, creating the exact blood sugar roller coaster that accelerates aging. For decades, seniors were told to fear fat, but modern research has turned that advice upside down. Large-scale studies now show that diets, including healthy fats, are associated with better cardiovascular markers, improved insulin sensitivity, and lower inflammation. In contrast, low-fat, high-carbohydrate meals are strongly linked to higher triglycerides, metabolic syndrome, and cognitive decline. The brain is especially vulnerable here. After 60, the brain becomes less efficient at using glucose for energy, which is why unstable blood sugar is associated with brain fog, memory issues, and increased dementia risk. Healthy fats provide an alternative fuel source and support the integrity of neuronal membranes. This is not theory. Imaging studies show improved brain metabolism in older adults who consume balanced meals with adequate fat and protein. This is where oatmeal can either help or hurt. On its own, oatmeal sends a partial message. With protein and fat, it sends a complete one. The difference shows up in how steady your hands feel, how confident your steps are, how clear your thinking is by midday, and how strong your body remains over the years. What makes this even more urgent is that muscle loss accelerates silently. You don't feel it happening day to day, but by the time weakness becomes noticeable, significant damage has already occurred. Research shows adults over 60 can lose up to 1% of muscle mass per year, and poor protein intake doubles that rate. That loss doesn't come back easily. Protein at breakfast acts like a protective signal. It tells the body that muscle tissue is needed, not expendable. It reduces the breakdown of lean tissue and improves how the body responds to physical activity, even light movement like walking. This is why seniors who eat protein earlier in the day respond better to exercise and recover faster. Healthy fats reinforce that message. They reduce chronic inflammation, which otherwise interferes with muscle repair and accelerates joint degeneration. Inflammatory markers like C-reactive protein are consistently lower in older adults who consume adequate healthy fats compared to those following low-fat diets. What's shocking is how many symptoms people blame on aging are actually signs of undernourished muscle and unstable blood sugar. Morning stiffness, fatigue after simple tasks, balance problems, slow recovery, and constant hunger are not inevitable. They are signals that the body is not receiving the building blocks it needs. When oatmeal is paired correctly with protein sources like eggs, Greek yogurt or collagen, and healthy fats like nuts, seeds, or full-fat dairy, the body responds rapidly. Blood sugar becomes more stable, energy lasts longer, cravings decrease, strength improves. These changes often appear within weeks, not years. This isn't about eating more. It's about eating smarter. Seniors who increase protein and healthy fat intake often consume fewer calories overall because their appetite regulates naturally. Stable blood sugar reduces overeating, and preserved muscle increases metabolic efficiency. The most important realization is this: after 60, food is no longer just nourishment, it is instruction. Every meal tells your body whether to build or break down, stabilize or inflame, protect or weaken. Oatmeal without protein and fat sends a message of scarcity and stress. Oatmeal with them sends a message of strength and repair. This is why protein and healthy fats are not optional after 60. They are foundational. They protect independence, mobility, cognition, and quality of life. And when paired correctly with foods like oatmeal, they transform an ordinary meal into a powerful tool for longevity. Because aging isn't defined by years, it's defined by what the body is given the chance to preserve. And that chance begins with what's on your plate, starting with the very first meal of the day. Most people believe the danger of oatmeal after 60 lies in how much you eat, but science tells a very different story, because the real threat isn't quantity at all, it's timing and quality. And for millions of seniors, eating the right food at the wrong time or in the wrong form quietly sabotages energy, brain function, and metabolic health every single day. Here's what research on aging metabolism makes very clear. After 60, the body becomes far more sensitive to when and how carbohydrates are consumed. Hormones that regulate blood sugar, stress, and digestion no longer respond the way they did in younger years, which means a meal that once felt energizing can now trigger fatigue, anxiety, and inflammation if the timing is off. Cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone, naturally rises in the early morning. This is normal and healthy, but problems begin when the first calories of the day are fast-digesting carbohydrates. Studies show that consuming carbohydrates during peak cortisol hours exaggerates the stress response, leading to higher blood sugar spikes, increased insulin release, and a sharper energy crash later in the day. This is why so many older adults feel shaky, foggy, or exhausted by late morning, even though they ate breakfast. It's not weakness, it's physiology. The aging body processes morning carbohydrates differently, and instant or highly processed oatmeal only makes this worse. Instant oatmeal is one of the most misleading foods marketed to seniors. It looks identical to whole oats, but nutritionally it behaves closer to refined starch. Processing breaks down fiber structure, increasing the glycemic index and allowing glucose to flood the bloodstream faster. Research comparing instant oats to steel-cut oats shows significantly higher blood sugar and insulin spikes from instant varieties, especially in older adults. Repeated glucose spikes don't just affect energy, they damage blood vessels. Over time, this increases the risk of heart disease, stroke, and kidney stress. Studies show that people who experience frequent post-meal glucose surges have accelerated vascular aging even when fasting blood sugar appears normal. Timing amplifies this damage. Eating high glycemic oats first thing in the morning on an empty, stressed system creates a metabolic perfect storm. Blood sugar rises rapidly, insulin surges, cortisol stays elevated longer than it should, and inflammation increases. This combination has been linked to worsening arthritis pain, poor mood regulation, and impaired memory formation. The brain is especially vulnerable. After 60, the brain's ability to efficiently use glucose declines, which is why unstable blood sugar is associated with confusion, slower reaction time, and increased dementia risk. Imaging studies show that glucose spikes followed by crashes reduce blood flow to key cognitive regions, while stable blood sugar supports clearer thinking and emotional balance. This is why quality matters as much as timing. Steel-cut and rolled oats digest more slowly because their fiber structure remains intact. They release glucose gradually, giving the body time to respond without stress. In contrast, Instant oats behave like refined carbohydrates, no matter how natural the label claims to be. But even high-quality oats can work against you if eaten at the wrong moment. Research in chrononutrition, the study of how timing affects metabolism, shows that older adults handle carbohydrates best when stress hormones are lower, and insulin sensitivity is supported by prior protein intake or light movement. This is why seniors who hydrate first, move gently, or eat a small protein-rich bite before oatmeal experience steadier energy and better blood sugar control. Even a short walk or a few minutes of stretching improves glucose uptake by muscles, reducing the burden on insulin. The shocking part is how quickly timing mistakes compound. One poorly timed breakfast doesn't cause damage overnight, but repeating it daily for years trains the body into a cycle of stress and storage. Cortisol remains elevated longer, fat accumulates around the abdomen, muscle breaks down more easily, and inflammation becomes chronic. Many of the most common complaints of aging trace back to this pattern. Persistent fatigue, midday crashes, sleep disruption, mood swings. These are not inevitable signs of getting older. They are metabolic signals that the body is being fed out of rhythm. Quality also extends beyond oats themselves to what's added. Packaged oatmeal packets often contain hidden sugars, artificial flavors, and seed oils that further inflame the body. Studies link ultra-processed foods to higher rates of cardiovascular disease, cognitive decline, and all-cause mortality, regardless of calorie intake. When seniors switch from instant packets to whole oats and adjust timing, measurable improvements often occur within weeks. Blood sugar readings stabilize, energy becomes predictable, sleep improves, joint pain lessens. These changes aren't placebo. They reflect reduced inflammatory load and improved hormonal signaling. Perhaps the most overlooked consequence of poor timing and quality is how it affects independence. Blood sugar instability increases fall risk by impairing balance and reaction time. Research shows older adults with erratic glucose control are significantly more likely to experience falls, even without diagnosed diabetes. Good timing protects more than metabolism. It protects mobility, confidence, and daily function. Eating in harmony with the body's natural rhythms supports strength, mental clarity, and resilience. This is why the question after 60 is no longer, is this food healthy, but is this food appropriate for this moment? A food can be nutritious on paper and still be harmful if eaten at the wrong time or in the wrong form. Oatmeal is a perfect example. It can be a powerful ally when it's whole, minimally processed, and eaten when the body is ready. Or it can quietly drain energy and accelerate aging when timing and quality are ignored. The most powerful shift seniors can make is not restriction, but alignment. Aligning food quality with natural rhythms, aligning meals with hormonal patterns, aligning nourishment with the body's changing needs. Because aging is not about decline by default, it's about adaptation. And when timing and quality are respected, even a simple bowl of oatmeal can become a tool for stability instead of stress. At this stage of life, health is not built through extremes. It's built through awareness. And once you understand how timing and quality shape the body's response, you stop blaming age and start reclaiming control, one intentional meal at a time.